Today we're going to be going over the easiest solution for the 3x3 shape mod, the axis cube. The axis cube features 4 different shapes of pieces, as well as centerpieces that are multiple colors. So to begin with, let's go over how to translate the axis cube into the 3x3. So I will just turn this once so that it's a little easier to see. So you can see from this direction that this is a centerpiece, and then we have our 4 edges coming off and our 4 corners. So you'll see there's 2 different types of edges. There is this sort of rhombus shape, as well as this double color edge. There are also 2 types of corners. There are these triangles, and then there's also this big pyramid. There's only 2 of these types of corners on the whole puzzle, but just know which is edges and which is corners. If you're ever confused as to which is which, just try to find your center and then look at the edges coming off and then the corners coming off. Since the axis cube is just a 3x3 shape mod, I'm going to assume that you already know how to solve the 3x3. If you don't, you can view my page for an easy tutorial, then you can come back to this video. So as you know, the first step of the 3x3 is to solve our white cross. Now, as you just saw in that last scene, none of the sides are actually going to be completely white. All the sides are actually going to have 2 colors, so it doesn't really matter which color you start with. So I still think the easiest thing to start with is to find our completely white edge and pair it up with our 2 white centers. Now notice how I can actually put this edge in between the 2 correct centers and it still doesn't look right. That's because our centers need to be turned. Now this wasn't a problem on the normal 3x3 because it didn't matter whether this blue square was turned or this red square was turned. But now that our centers are these interesting pyramid shapes, it's actually going to be important to rotate our centers. So you can just move pieces out of the way until we have a smooth line for our edge. So this would be the equivalent of just having one of our edge pieces in. Now we will have to put the other 3 in. So I like to look for the other one that will just be 1 color. On each side there's always going to be 2 trapezoids and 2 of these double edges. So I can see here that my other single color edge will be blue. So now I'm looking around for my blue piece. Here it is. And once again, before I insert it in, I'll have to make sure that the colors match up with each other. You see, so that it's all smooth. Otherwise I could have a flipped edge or a flipped center, and then we'll have to fix that later. So now I have 2 of my pieces, and then you'll just keep repeating this process until you have all 4 cross edges. Now normally our next step would be to solve the white side, but since this side is more than 1 color, we're just going to put these 4 corners in. So it's pretty easy. Just visualize what kind of corner would be here. I think that there would be an orange triangle. So here's our piece. And there we go. Just do corner algorithms to get our corners in. Here would probably be a blue triangle. So here it is. And if you notice that it's not sitting correctly, that probably means that you have to rotate it. And then you can put it in. You'll just repeat this for all 4 corners. Now that we have an entire side finished, our next step will be to put in the last 4 corners of the second layer. So I'm going to assume that you know this algorithm for the 3x3 to put the edges in, and you're going to use this on the axis cube. So try to visualize what edge would be in between the 2 centers. And this is also assuming that you put them in correctly with your cross edges. So I can see here that there's going to be a yellow and blue edge, which is right here. Now, you might be thinking, well, how do I know how to position it? Because it's a little hard to tell since it's 2 colors. Well, I like to do the first couple moves and then see if it looks smooth. And since this does, I'll just finish off the algorithm. Now, if it didn't, like, let's say so I know that this is going to be the single red edge, and I do the first couple moves. Well, now I notice this actually isn't resting very smoothly, so I'm going to undo those moves and then do it the opposite way. Now that I do it the opposite way, now I can see that it's smooth, and I will just finish the algorithm and put that edge in. You'll just repeat this for all 4 edges, and then you can move to the last layer. So on the 3x3, it used to be easy because you could see which edges were facing up, and then you could build your yellow cross. But since we have multiple colors, it'll be a little bit more difficult to tell which edges are actually facing up. So the way I like to do this is just pick an edge and then move it around to its correct position. So that would be right here with the red and green. So I can see here the red actually isn't matched up with the correct color, and this green here isn't matched up with the correct color either. That means that this is actually a flipped edge. Now you can't really tell that, but since we've lined it up in its correct spot and it's not working, that means that it is flipped. I'll move to the next one. See, this one also isn't oriented correctly because we have these two colors are incorrect. Now here we go. This edge is oriented correctly because it's smooth, and this one should be too. So there we go. So this is actually our L case because these two are correctly oriented and these two are not. So we'll just do our L case algorithm. And now that we go back and check, all four edges should line up in their correct spots. Now our last two steps on the axis cube are actually going to be pretty easy. So if you remember, we just get our edges oriented, so all the colors are the same. And then we'll use our corner swapping algorithm so that we can have all the corners together. And then we just twist them so that we can finish the cube. So here we have the axis cube with all the edges oriented. So now we will find two that match up, and we'll do our algorithm. And then you'll know that all your edges are matched up when they all work smoothly with the correct colors. Now it should be pretty easy to tell which one is in place. As we can see, this red one is on the red side, so this is going to be in place. And it's also easy to tell that this isn't in its correct position, and neither are these other two. So we'll just simply do our algorithm. And now we can definitely tell that these two corners need to be twisted and then the rest are fine. So we'll just keep doing it until it looks like it's in there smoothly. This looks like it's correct. Move to the next one. And now we finish the axis cube. Now there are a couple more things that can happen. Maybe you have one center that's twisted, or maybe a couple that are twisted. So I'm going to go over how to correct those now. Now the first case you can have is when you have one center that's rotated 180 degrees. As you can see, the rest of the cube is solved except for the center. So the algorithm is very easy to fix this. All it is R, U, R prime, U. And then you will just repeat this until the cube fixes. I believe it's 5 times. We'll just keep going. Now it's rotated just the top center 180 degrees. Now the other case you can have is when you have two centers that are rotated 90 degrees. Now if you follow my method correctly, and when you make your cross you have all the centers correctly oriented, then you actually won't run into this problem. But just in case, I will show it in this video. So you look at your centers, and I noticed that this has to go counterclockwise 90 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my M prime, and then I'm going to go the opposite way, so clockwise. Then I'll do M, then U prime. Now I'll repeat these 4 steps until the cube fixes itself. Now as you can see, it's kind of hard to do M's on the axis cube, which is why I made this method that you won't have to run into this problem. But nonetheless, here we go. It rotated just these two centers 90 degrees, one on the face and on the top, and there you go. Since this is a 3x3 shape mod, all the normal 3x3 strategies still work on this. So as you can see here, I have a T-perm, and the T-perm algorithm will still work. You're welcome to do CFOP or any other 3x3 methods that you know, and it will all still work on the axis cube. I hope this video is helpful to you. You can view my page for more tutorials, and for the future, good luck.